A lot of the time as a taxpayer you get some letters from the tax department and they can be pretty scary, let's face it. Sometimes they can offer a desk audit or they can offer a full-blown audit. So what are your rights in relation to these audits from the ATO? Hi, I'm Andrew Jeffers and this is the 2-Minute Accountant. So the way that the taxation law operates is based on the Income Tax Assessment Act. There's a couple of them, they've tried to rehash them over the years. But the penalties and the system involved is actually covered by a particular part of the law which is called administrative law. So when it comes down to you getting fines and penalties and the tax department making assessments based on your tax return, your ability to appeal against this goes directly to the Administrative Appeals Tribunal. So what can the tax department do? Well, they have the legal authority to come to your front door, knock in and come into your business premises. They can ask to see some of your documentation. They can go through your computer. They can do a whole range of powers. But let's just put that to one side for a second. So you get a letter from the tax department and you say to yourself, and hopefully you're talking to your accountant, what am I going to do? I'm up for an audit and they're going to make an assessment. So you have some rights under administrative law to have that reviewed. Now there's two types of reviews. Now this is not legal advice, I'm just filling in the blanks for you. There's two sorts of reviews. There's a first review which is called a judicial review. So that's actually looking at the legality of the decision. Did the person making this decision against you have some sort of prejudice? Was there some sort of bias? Was there some sort of collusion? Did they follow the appropriate legislation? So that sort of review actually gets done through the federal court, or actually the first point of contact is actually the High Court, but it then gets put down to the federal court. The second part of the review is a thing called a merits review. So it doesn't look at the legality of exactly what's happened, but it looks at whether or not there is merit for you to apply to this situation. And so when you get an assessment from the tax department, you have, I think it's 28 days, could be 21, to go and lodge an appeal against with the Administrative Appeals Tribunal. You need to get a lawyer, put it that way, and you need to have your accountant on side. So when you actually appeal to the Administrative Appeals Tribunal, you go through a process of putting your case forward based on merit, based on the situation, based on what you believe the facts or the circumstances. I mean, for instance, you might have had a family member who was undergoing cancer at the time and you weren't able to fulfill these obligations. You've got many different reasons why you couldn't do what you were supposed to do. So this is the place where you can actually go and plead your case and put it forward. So the AET is an excellent form of arbitration to a certain extent between yourself and the tax department to try and plead your case if you've been given an adverse finding. Because you have to remember, if you haven't lodged a tax return for a while or something's gone wrong, the tax department have within their scope to actually just assess you based on what they believe to be the case. And if they assess you on what they believe to be the case, then you have to prove otherwise. So it's a good process, it's a fair process, but make sure you understand the process. And the last thing, as always, don't bury your head in the sand. Deal with things front on. Get some help from your accountant. Get some help from your lawyer.